Hello. Back when I lived in England, I resided in a total of 3 towns or cities: Grimsby, London or Lancaster. But after moving to the United States, I realised that all of those places had namesakes on this side of the pond.
And given that hundreds of American towns were named for British ones, it got me wondering, did any of them overshadow their British counterparts in size and population?
Well, the answer is yes, and today I'm going to infiltrate your brains with 6 such American cities.
I should note that I've purposely not included New York because it was named for the Duke of York and not the city. Ironic, since the current Duke refuses to visit.
Anyway, if you're one of the people that's helped this channel grow to the size of a major city, thanks. If not, do that now. In the meantime, here are 6 American cities that completely outgrew their British originals.
Let's begin with a place that I visited 20 years ago, Boston, Massachusetts, home to clam chowder, the Red Sox, and a surprisingly aggressive approach to jaywalking. With a population of nearly 700,000 and a metropolitan area hosting millions more, this city is the definition of massive, even if The Onion sees things differently. Its English counterpart is Boston, Lincolnshire, which sits about 45 miles from where I grew up, or didn't in my case. With a respectable population of 70,000, it's still small enough that you'd probably bump into the same person twice in one afternoon, and in my experience, it's usually Uncle Toby.
Like America's version today, Boston, Lincolnshire was an important port and market town in the medieval period.
But by the early 1600s, English Puritans, tired of religious persecution and, let's be honest, the English weather, set sail for the New World, where the weather was even worse. They founded Boston, Massachusetts in 1630 as a tribute to the one in Lincolnshire, not realizing that their little settlement would one day see Americans chuck a ton of tea into the sea.
By the 19th century, Boston, Massachusetts had outgrown its English predecessor in more ways than one.
The Irish potato famine and the Industrial Revolution brought waves of immigrants, factories, and a booming economy, while Boston, Lincolnshire pretended not to be jealous.
Today, Boston, Massachusetts is a global city with universities like MIT and Harvard, and enough Dunkin' Donuts to sustain a small army.
And so, when it comes to population and global significance, America's Boston is like a younger sibling who grew up and became wildly successful while still occasionally calling home for advice.
Newark, New Jersey, the city that everybody knows as the location of that airport that you'd rather not have a layover in.
But despite its reputation, Newark is a major urban hub with over 300,000 residents, a history steeped in industry, and enough cultural landmarks to at least warrant a second glance. While some historians, including probably Indiana Jones, think it was named for the New Ark of the Covenant, it is more widely believed that Abraham Pearson, a pastor from England, suggested the name because he had ministered in Newark-on-Trent in Nottinghamshire.
Either way, Newark, New Jersey was also founded by Puritans, who were surprisingly okay with the name despite it being an anagram of wanker.
While this is what the English Newark is often known for, it's actually a lovely place to visit.
I'm an authority on this because I went to a pub there once.
However, with a population of only 30,000, Newark-on-Trent, much like Boston, is around 10 times smaller than its American namesake. Given that it also has about a quarter of the space, locals are probably just fine with that.
And while we're on the subject of things that were lost in translation, this video is brought to you by Mondly, the language learning app that's not just helping me stick to my New Year's resolutions, it's actively making sure that I don't embarrass myself while ordering fajitas.
And the timing couldn't be better, because right now, Mondly is offering a whopping 96% off lifetime access during their New Year sale. Just head to my personalized link, mondly.app/lostinthepond.
If you've been saying, this is the year that I'm going to finally learn a new language, then we have that in common. For me, it's Spanish, and Mondly is making sure that I stick to it.
Hola, soy la sensation de YouTube, Lawrence Brown.
Here's why the app really fits my needs. Mondly offers lessons in 41 languages. That's 40 more than I'm currently fluent in. And get this, whether you're learning Spanish from English or something completely wild like Finnish from Romanian, Mondly has you covered. You could be quadruple bilingual before you know it.
And for the multitaskers of the world, there's a hands-free mode. You can learn vocabulary while cooking, working out, or dramatically pacing your living room, wondering if you'll ever roll your R's correctly. Of course, with Mondly, you will. Even I will. And don't even get me started on the practical lessons. These aren't just your typical, ooh, the cat is on the table phrases. Mondly teaches you the good stuff, like ordering tapas without accidentally asking for 17 plates of fish again.
So if learning a language is on your New Year's to-do list, Mondly's 96% off lifetime access deal is here to save the day. Again, head to mondly.app/lostinthepond. The link is in my description below. Richmond, Virginia is a vibrant southern city with almost 230,000 residents. The city played a big part in US history, from Patrick Henry's Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death speech to becoming the capital of the Confederacy during the Civil War. Meanwhile, Richmond, London is a picturesque town with around just 21,000 people.
It's known for Richmond Park, a serene view of the Thames, and houses that nobody can afford. In fact, it was that view of the river that ultimately led to Richmond becoming the name of Virginia's capital.
Back in 1737, the city's founder and Brian May cosplayer, William Byrd II, named the city after the English town because he thought the James River looked like the Thames, and I can sort of see it. From the 19th century, Richmond, Virginia grew rapidly, becoming a centre of industry and trade due in part to the proximity of said river. And despite being burned by fleeing Confederates in the Civil War, the city rebounded to become a modern economic and cultural hub.
Meanwhile, Richmond, London recently became the scene of an unlikely underdog story, in which an affable soccer coach from America, and I've just realised that Ted Lasso isn't real, but Richmond is. I'm just going to say it. Dover, Delaware is completely and utterly a little bit small. How small? Well, let's just say it doesn't even have as many people as Boston, Lincolnshire.
But with 39,000 humans, it is the largest city in Kent County, which is funny because Dover, England is also located in the county of Kent. Dover, Kent is famous for its white chalk cliffs, which have been immortalised in songs, poems, and my Aunt Betsy's grainy Instagram photos. It's also a port town of strategic importance, serving as England's gateway to continental Europe.
Dover, Delaware, on the other hand, doesn't have cliffs, or much in the way of memorable geology, but it does have a laser tag.
The American Dover was named by William Penn, founder of Pennsylvania, after its English counterpart in 1683. What set Dover apart was its role in early American politics, with Delaware the first to ratify the Constitution. Dover technically became the first state capital in the land. Over the centuries, it developed into a quiet but important city known for government, agriculture, and more recently, NASCAR races, apparently.
And now we head back to Massachusetts, to a place that the internet thinks Americans don't know how to pronounce: Worcester. Of course, that accusation is often hurled at them by Brits familiar with the English city of the same name.
But Worcester, Massachusetts, with a population of 207,000, pretty much has the same pronunciation. In fact, with this being Massachusetts, many locals even leave off the R like we do in Britain.
Worcester.
But this might be where the similarities end. You see, Worcester, Worcestershire, with its population of 103,000, is almost exactly half the size of the one in Worcester County, Massachusetts.
Then again, Worcester County is also something the two cities share, because Worcestershire means Worcester County.
Worcester, Worcestershire is famous for its cathedral, its porcelain, and of course, its sauce. The Lee and Perrins factory in Worcester is responsible for the world's supply of Worcestershire sauce, a culinary staple for anyone who enjoys a mouthful in more ways than one.
But while Worcestershire remained a relatively small city, Worcester, Massachusetts became an industrial hub in the 19th century.
Its growth was fueled by immigrants, railroads, and of course, being the place where monkey wrenches were invented. I actually didn't know about that until 5 minutes ago. A bit like this place. Lynn, Massachusetts may not be the largest or most famous city in New England, but its population of 101,000 is still more than twice that of Kings Lynn in England.
Despite sharing a name, these two cities have taken very different paths.
Kings Lynn, originally known simply as Lynn, was a major medieval port located about 30 miles from Boston, Lincolnshire, which, as we described, was itself an
important port and market town in the medieval period.
It only became Kings Lynn when Henry VIII took control of it in 1537. However, he quickly lost interest when he realised Lynn was a piece of land and not a future wife. Funnily enough, the one in Massachusetts has a seaside area called Kings Beach, which is nothing more than a coincidence because the beach was named after former Mayor Edward King and not this absolute psychopath.
That said, in time, Kings Lynn would be completely outgrown by its namesake to the west.
Founded in the 1600s, Lynn, Massachusetts grew into a hub of industry, particularly shoemaking. In fact, it was once known as the shoe capital of the world. And even though that industry lost its footing, the city continued to grow thanks to its own proximity to a city called Boston.
At this point, it's time to make the video all about you by telling everybody that Lawrence mentioned your city, unless I didn't. As always, these videos are made possible by my ponderers. Support this channel today at patreon.com/lostinthepond or by clicking the join button below. And finally, give in to your cravings by watching all of my YouTube shorts. Until the next video, goodbye.